Boys, I think I've jinxed them, but
We can't control what the referees do. What can we control?
it doesn't look like they really have a plan.
A lot of WWE or WWF, I think it was back in the day.
Hello and welcome A-League fans to another episode of the A-League Download presented by Isuzu Ute. Clayton Taylor takes a hat-trick for the Jets to go 6 in a row against Adelaide. Michael Valkanis sends a message to the referees, we believe. What did he say in the press conference? We'll get to that shortly. And also, mathematically, everyone in the competition can still make finals. Guys, this is going to be a very, very big episode. I am your host, Jake Barker-Daish, joined today by Rashid Mahazi, former Melbourne Victory midfielder and A-League champion, and Naum Sekulovski, over 100 caps for Perth Glory. Boys, welcome.
Good to be here.
How good's this? First time I'm here alongside the great man.
Yeah.
What a trio.
Where does your IQ stand today with the law?
No, we've gone up, definitely.
Yeah, we've gone up again.
No disrespect, Arch. I don't know which camera I'm looking at, but we've definitely gone up.
Yeah, well, looking forward to having you both on today. Big show, a lot to talk about with where the game is going and some of the reactions from the grounds of the weekend. But we've got to start with one of these ones, the bangers of the week. Aziz Behich against the Western Sydney Wanderers. Rashid, this was an absolute perler on his non-preferred as well.
Mate, what a cracker of a goal this is. Running at full speed, cuts inside and he goes with his opposite foot. I've seen him do this with both feet as well. This guy is ageing like a fine wine, probably the silver lining of Melbourne City's season at this point.
Is he going to the World Cup, you reckon, Butker? Is he a chance?
What a great question. Potentially, if he maintains this type of form, because he's really carried the side somewhat this season, there's no reason why not. Just depends, what the hierarchy are feeling.
Yeah, well, he'll be competing with Geordie Boss, we know, for that position, but his form will definitely be in Tony Povicic's mind. We go to the Ninja A-Leagues because we talk about Ninja A-Leagues proving a lot of bangers every week. They're hard to choose in this competition because they're scoring them from all over the place. And none better than this one, Furphy for Melbourne Victory, getting their first win in 7. Butker, this was special.
Oh, how good. She just she cuts in left foot and goes that top left. Absolute gem of a finish. Gets a W as well, I think, for the girls. So they're back on track. Absolutely superb.
Yeah, a much needed win there for Melbourne Victory, who've been a little bit out of form, and they've got a bit to go to catch up to their arch rivals, Melbourne City, who are now top of the competition. But to stay on Melbourne Victory, a moment happened out in the windy city of Wellington on the weekend. And boy, was this one a bit of a funny one. But Charles Nduka with the hand of God here, lads. Let's have a look at it. He makes a running behind. He just gives a little whoop, and off he goes there. And then I thought the best part here, guys, was the poker face that he held to the referee.
And it was the hands of God, plural. He's gone double foot, double fist volleyball tap over
I think they call that in the AFL handball.
They do.
Yeah, they're handball.
I was actually wanted to ask Lord. He's a massive fan of AI. Is this a glitch in the in the data?
Yeah, they coded it wrong. They coded it wrong this week.
Okay. Something within the algorithm hasn't sort of hit home. So.
Well, in fairness to Charles, he did look good on the weekend, but that was a moment of madness, and he did share a wry smile after he did get booked for it. Guys, we've got to go to what was one of the talking points of the weekend. They seem to be a talking point potentially this time now for the wrong reasons. The Brisbane Roar. Michael Valkanis shared some message to the referees towards the end of the game. They're not going too well, guys. They've lost 6 out of their last 7. They're dropping in form. Before we break them down, I just think we should have a look at Michael Valkanis and what he had to say about the referees in the post-match press conference.
Michael, can you just fill us in on what happened at the end there?
Stop, sit back, stop, not talking. They're the answers I give when I ask a question. How do you feel? How do you feel about that now?
No, that's fine.
You understand what I'm getting every day?
Yeah.
Anyone else for a question? No, stop, sit back, don't talk, sit down. No, stop.
I can't not laugh when I see it. He's obviously got a pointed message there to the referees, guys, but just to bring this out, round 8, they were 3rd. Round 17, they're now sitting 8th, and they've had 1 win in, I think, their last 7 or 8 games. They're definitely falling off a bit, Rashid. You actually probably spoke of this right before it happened, predicting that they're going to struggle to make finals, and you weren't, I guess, seeing the method to their madness outside of the aggression. Where do you stand with them now after...
Boys, I think I've jinxed them, but I'm standing by that I don't think they're going to make that 6. And even on the weekend, it doesn't look like they really have a plan. It's kind of ad hoc going forward, and they look shaky at the back. So I'm not very confident with them. In terms of his little press conference there, it's funny that the reporter said, "No, that's fine."
Yeah.
I said, "How do you feel?" He said, "No, that's fine."
Yeah, he goes, "Do you see what I'm getting at?" And the reporter's going, "No, obviously not." Butker, just the the tone of Brisbane, right, is I guess a bit of a challenge because you're losing a lot of games, and then you're making noises in the press conferences, challenging referees and so forth, which we'll get into. But just that, I guess, the growth mindset you mentioned off air.
Yeah,
I thought an important point to bring up here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we all get where Valkanis is coming from and what he's trying to do, which is great. But it's just, I think, balancing that out. You don't want to implement that, I guess, victim mentality onto the playing, the playing crew as well. He's taken the brunt of it, but that might shadow within the team as well. So if they're seeing that from the gaffer, it's all, we're always being victimised for something, whether it's by referees' decisions, other coaches, whatever it might be. You want to try to see a little bit of balance and bring in a little bit of that growth mentality and say internally, all right, sometimes the referees are going to make poor decisions. We can't control that. We can't control what the referees do. What can we control? What can we do internally to make that change? Controlled
aggression, right? Which it doesn't look like they really have. It looks like they're a bit chaotic and volatile and they get emotional and start fights. It's fine if you're using aggression to your advantage, but sometimes it's looking like it's hurting them.
Yeah, and it seemed like it carried over from the last game they had against Central Coast, that mentality, that battle or that war was won by Central Coast on the weekend because they stayed focused on the game. Brisbane were going in between the benches with the coaches. At the end, Michael Valkanis having words, Warren Moon. Just felt a bit ugly, and obviously form's on this side. So there's a bit of pressure building out at Brisbane, which is going to be interesting to see how they turn things around going forward. But we can't mention the Brisbane game without talking about the beloved Central Coast because they've had a run of form now, unbeaten across their last four, I should say. This was a solid game. As I said, guys, we speak about the challenges they had in the last game, the emotions, the fights in the dugouts. Warren Moon comes out in the press conferences calling out Brisbane. There's a lot of hatred there. And Brisbane go away and get a result, Butker. I mean, very important for them as a club because they can still push now even into finals.
Well, we've seen the beauty about the A-League is that everyone still has a chance and they're almost timing that run now that they've had, a few issues off the park. They've semi-settled and it was, they grinded out a result, a late finish by Storm Roo, I think somewhere within the 82nd, 83rd minute. And they take the 3 points. So they're starting to set themselves up for a late run. Are they going to get there? Time will tell, but they've definitely taken the first step in the right direction.
Well, let's have a look at the goals from the weekend. As we said, Storm Roo with the winner, but the first one was opened up here, a cross out wide from Moragas. DePizio makes a run in, a great little left foot ball there. He looks like a real talent, DePizio, as well for Central Coast. Just going into this, Rashid, Moragas out there, DePizio comes in here. We see this second goal, which from Storm Roo, right at the death. I mean, massive scenes for Central Coast.
Yeah, it's really good to see Central Coast taking points off a lot of teams in the league now, and potentially, I think we're starting to see maybe who are the top six and who are the bottom six. But in my mind, Central Coast are the ones that I think can maybe start to push forward. And I want to give a shout out to James Donachie because he's been awesome last week. It was amazing, and then this week again.
We're going to let you. Well, it's just fascinating. We can't let him completely off the hook, Mahazi, because he did say last week they're a small club, but he's the one now flying the flag for them to make finals.
Small club, balanced, small club, balanced. Could make the six.
Yeah, could make the six. Butker, their signings, right? We know the NPL world quite well. They've brought in a few players from that scene. They've straight away made an impact. They're starting practically their front three, you could say, on the weekend. When Ollie Laval came on, were all players that were playing in the second division last year, and the run of form's been fantastic.
So. Mate, and we love it. And you guys have done, hats off and kudos to you guys, what you guys have done in your own space and show to highlight what the NPL can potentially bring. And it's the perfect example. I think Threre has gone to Perth over the weekend.
Is that breaking news, by the way?
I don't know. Potentially might be breaking.
I don't know. Is that been announced?
Breaking Butker.
Breaking Butker. Not Breaking Bad.
I'll break. I can assure you. Just ask my wife. I love you.
And Hearts apparently as well.
And Hearts.
Yeah.
But it's a great example of literally looking down south. I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on the big man, the former male model from South Melbourne that's now at Macarthur, who's done similar things with Sturjovski's team.
Yep, very much so. Well, one of the games of the round, definitely for sure, was Newcastle versus Adelaide. It was end-to-end. There was goals, there was chances. It was thrilling. But Clayton Taylor, guys, he looks like a real talent for them one that we haven't probably spoken about enough on this show, but as we see here, a couple of goals. This might have been a cross to Lockie Rose. Nonetheless, he opens his account, and then Barker, take us through this one here, just on his left foot. Fantastic finish.
Mate, just the perfect finish, right? He strikes it clean, bottom right corner. You know, and I think the commentary at the time was, you know, we haven't heard Taylor's name up until this point, and maybe we haven't really been flying the flag, but clearly he's a top goal scorer at the moment.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was just crazy. How's he not been spoken about enough? I mean, I know he scored 3 here, but
well, here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are, right? Here we are, the three of us, and he's the topic of today's episode. He's an absolute star.
Yeah, well, Newcastle now, they've extended their streak now, 6 in a row. As of last week, no one had won 2 or more in their last 5 across the competition. So now this sort of energy and run that Newcastle are on is turning into form. And they're really sort of having their, I guess, proving their point that this young team can do so well. Rashid, we talk about some of the players, Wilmering, you've got Bayless, obviously Clayton Taylor as well. I mean, there seems to be not just your staple names. We mentioned Eli Adams, L.A. Rose, we like to call him, Badalado and so forth, but they've got contributors everywhere.
Yeah, well, we were talking about who's going to get the Johnny Warren at the end of the season. We were saying Newcastle probably have a bit of an issue there because in terms of the individual players, because they're all taking points off each other.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good players in that.
Yeah,
team.
it was a fantastic game between Adelaide. Adelaide, to be fair, could have easily won this as well. They had a goal disallowed, which was, a hairline was offside, and then a bunch of chances they had in the first half. Just interesting though on Newcastle, and this is why they are called the box office Jets. They've scored the most goals in the competition with 37, which is 11 more than any other team. But they've also conceded this. Well, they've conceded the second most goals with 28. So that's why they're box office. You get it at both ends. But
love it.
Barker, would you be concerned by that stat, or are you looking at, well, we're top of the league?
Look, I'll use a sales analogy, and we call it a leaky bucket. If you're losing customers, you've got to make sure you're selling a hell of a lot more, right, to stay in the positive. So as long as they're doing that, they're first on the ladder, right? So that you can't really comment. In saying that, I'm sure Millsy will be looking at it and saying, all right, how can we plug some of these holes and gaps? From an entertainment perspective, I think they're trying to nudge 15,000, or they got 15,000 to their last home game. So,
working.
You know what? It's absolute quality for the league and quality for the town of Newcastle and that club. And
just quickly, you played with Mark Milligan. He was a midfielder, but he's defensive-minded. That'll be eating him alive, won't it, that they've conceded that?
No, he was definitely more of an attacking-minded defensive midfielder.
Right.
Yeah.
Bit of Franz Beckenbauer, if you will.
Yeah, and I actually think, I mean, this is for me personally, but I love that they don't sit back, score 1 goal and sit back and then sit in their half. They go try to score another. They're 3-0 up and they try to score again and then they cop one down the other end. So I would prefer, and I think sometimes it's actually helpful, to still be in an attacking mindset, even when you're up, And we saw, for example, Central Coast, they score 1 goal and then they sit right back and it's almost fearful. That's when it can become a bit of a hindrance for you.
Yeah, you're talking about as well the moment Lockie Rose went to lob the keeper. As soon as he missed that chance, they go and scored to Cooley.
Yeah.
But they were all guns blazing for that attack. They could have been 3-4-0 up at the time. So, very good point there. Let's go to Filip Kurto against Perth Glory. Now, this was a bit of a challenging moment. MacArthur, we've been talking about a team that can go all the way here in the finals, but moments and lapses like these have just been hurting them and losing them points. But this was one of the all-time clean-ups of Jaden Kucharski, which led to a Kolokovsky goal.
Yeah, I'm going to show my age. This had a lot of WWE or WWF, I think it was back in the day. Ultimate Warrior, just absolute cleaned him up, I think, with the left hook. And really, I think we were debating earlier, is it a red card? Is it a penalty?
Well, what do we think? Let's cut to that.
Let's jump straight into it.
Let's jump straight into it because, people are challenging what it should be, right? And it wasn't given as a red card. But would you think that's a red card? There's a range of reasons what you could look at here. If Kolokovsky doesn't get the goal, is it a red card? Is he last man? It's just outside the box. There's a lot of nuances. But your gut feel, Barker, what would you give?
I think because it's a goal, it's probably not a red card. In saying that, if that ball goes out or if they don't score, it's a red card.
Let me ask you, for what though? What is it a red card for? Because I don't think you can combine 2 yellow cards in the same play and give a red. So which one?
I think it's last man.
Okay.
Potentially, but it's finite, like literally.
So what about the left jab to the chin of Kajarski?
That's the other one.
Are we not seeing that?
That's the other side of the coin.
Yeah, and missed the ball, might I add.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all respects to Filip Kurto, you know, he's won a Mark Nduka medal. He's a great goalkeeper, but this was an absolute.
There's no
train
denying
crash.
that he sends his jaw into Western Sydney. Like that's clear.
And his head's bouncing off the canvas.
Yeah.
Lucky he didn't get a concussion from that. I hope he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big error, but just on MacArthur, there's probably just little moments like this, which is creeping across a lot of teams in the competition and losing them points. But you just think if MacArthur can get going and just close out games and little moments that just let them down like that, they're going to be a real challenger. So red card, just to confirm.
Well, really,
where did you stand?
I'm going $50 each way, really.
And Rashid, what are you?
I'm going to say no.
No?
No. Even if they don't score, I don't think it's a red.
Okay.
No.
Well, for me, that's a red card. You can't left hook a striker to the face, but nonetheless, that's what happened. Now we go on to the other flip side of the goalkeeping, and this was a great game out in Auckland against Sydney FC. End to end for periods, Auckland got the chocolates, and we potentially saw one of the saves of the season. Let's have a look at this from Harrison Devenish-Meares. Incredible. The ball comes in, he's anticipated, made himself big.
That's
Look
huge.
at me turning into Thomas Sorensen here. And probably the save of the season there, Rashid. That lifts him. It doesn't win him the game, but it lifts the squad.
Yeah, well, we said backstage that you know, he's already diving before he heads the ball, but as a kid, you're told, head the ball down. So Cosgrove does that perfectly. It's almost a perfect header. Maybe it could have been a little bit more to the corner, but the keeper's able to get his hand down to it. It's obviously just flow state, reflex save. But brilliant. He's been really good for them.
But you played sometimes in the back four. When you see that from a keeper, that lifts everyone.
That's game changing. And that is probably, you know, thus far the save of the year. I challenge any other keeper to beat that save. Yeah, for me, massive, absolutely huge.
And you were on here a few weeks ago. You spoke about Auckland. You gave them an A. You said they were solid as a rock. You weren't concerned about form. Probably since that show, they've dropped a few more points than you anticipated, but they did get a very important win here against Sydney. Where do you stand with them now? Lockie Brook obviously carrying a bit of a knock. Are you still putting them on that pedestal to be the top team?
I'm still comfortable, and you know we touched on my back of house. I mean he could have had 2-3 goals comfortably, right? So he's coming back into play. Yes, he hasn't scored, but we can see he can get into dangerous positions. So I think they've just got power across the whole park. So they have a level of balance, which I think will carry them all the way through to the finals.
And they've got that style, Rashid, that they can win, you know, in different ways, if you will, like their goals. It was ugly, it was scrappy. A ball from De Vries into Sakai makes its way to Cosgrove, but they get the job done and they keep the lead and keep a clean sheet. Yeah,
I think they're probably the best overall team in terms of players on the park. And I just think, like Butka said, they could have had 3 or 4 in that game. They dominated, they deserved to win. And they'll be difficult in finals.
Yep. Well, contentious moment happened out in Wellington on the weekend against Melbourne Victory. This was another thrilling game. Melbourne Victory getting the win in the game, but we've got to look at probably what was spoken about as one of the key talking points here. A penalty shout to Wellington that referee Jack Morgan actually gives in the moment. It's 2-1 the scoreline here. We see the foot go out. We've got another debate on our hands here, guys, because this actually went back to the VAR. And was then given not a penalty, which was said on Jack Morgan here.
There is no foul inside the penalty area. It is normal football contact. Drop ball.
So, for me, normal football contact, right? So I think you guys are all in agreement he's ran into him to an extent. I'm a little bit more on the side. I think he's put a back foot out, which is impacted because you see he takes the ball from the left to the right and the back foot. I actually think it was a penalty. But from discussions we were having earlier, we're all a little bit off on that.
Yeah, we've already had an argument.
Yeah, so let's go into your side of the fence, Rashid, of what you saw.
Well, from, let's say, Victory's side or Rawlins, if I'm him, it's always the thing that you say to the ref, well, I can't just get out of the way. He runs straight into me. I know he puts his foot out, but that's not actually where he makes the contact. The contact is on the body, and he can't get his body out of the way. He can't just disappear, right? So I think it's harsh, but maybe it's okay to give the penalty. Fine. But I do disagree that like once you've given the penalty, you can't take it off. Like it could go either way, but once you've given the penalty,
All right,
it's not clear and obvious.
So you're Jack Morgan. You've watched the replay. What is it on the whistle? Penalty or not penalty?
On the replay, it's a penalty. If it's during play, I wouldn't have given it.
Wow.
Massive.
Wow. What obstructive criticism to himself as a
love
referee. That wasn't even the
Well,
question.
He's turning the mirror inward, right, which great footballers do.
Yeah.
And he's learning on the spot.
He spiritually took himself to the ground and out of the body into a VAR box. I don't know how you did that.
And he
AI.
Yeah,
I had myself
yeah.
there.
Yeah. And Butker, what about you? You're in that position sometimes defending one-on-one. You're
Yeah.
sometimes being the player that runs at plays in those positions. For you, like, where's the benefit of the doubt there?
Yeah, for me, it almost looks like the Wellington player sort of moves into the victory defender. So I'm saying no. I'm saying no pen. So I'm agreeing with the VAR decision. Again, when it's happening that quickly, like it's so hard for referees to make that call. It's another 50-50 one. But for me, as we're watching it now, it's no pen. Even in slow-mo, I'm saying, the Wellington player makes that movement into the victory play.
I think what I took from that as well, it was probably lazy defending too.
Yeah, potentially.
He puts his foot out, leaves himself open. He's not defending properly. He's kind of checking him around the box. When you're 2-1 up, it's risky. But from this, just Rashid, your feeling on victory now. Obviously, an important win away from home. They've kind of lost the speed of form they're at, but they're still comfortably in the 6. You confident with how they're shaping up, with Nduka sitting up top as well, to have another run to push themselves up the ladder?
Yeah, I thought they looked much better this game, boys. I thought with Nduka up there, that link-up play between Valupale, Mata, himself, even Piscopo and Nduka, obviously. I thought there's something showing there that there is actually some way of breaking teams down, getting in behind them and scoring some goals. And then having Virgos coming off the bench to potentially score you some headers or something like that from late crosses. I think they're starting to look like a bit more of a team that can go on and be consistent.
Getting a bit more consistency with the lineup as well, which they never really were able to do for a long period of the season with injuries and decision making from Arthur Dillers as well. So it'd be interesting to see how they go going forward. Well, let's head to the Ninja A-Leagues because an absolute firecracker of a game happened out between Melbourne City and Brisbane. This was a big one for Melbourne City, who now claim their mark on top of the league. Let's have a look at some of the goals. They actually went 2-0 down in this game, would you believe it? And went on to win 5-2 here against Brisbane, which was a massive, massive result for them. So they are now top spot. They've regained top spot in the Ninja A-League after coming, as I said, 2-0 down. And they've broken a 2-game losing streak, which was important. We look at some of the goals here. Goals scored from Rebecca Stott, Holly McNamara, Briley Henry, Devon Jackson and Aidan Keane. Sorry, the score was 6-2 there, I believe. And just fantastic from 5-2. But some magical finishes here, Butker, when we look at what Melbourne City produced. Now, they are really clamping their mark as a top team. Holly McNamara, wonderful goal scorer. It's great to see that some of these games that Melbourne City, they just absolutely blitz teams.
Oh, it's great for women's football where you see if a team can get it right, the impact they can have. Yeah, they've got a couple guns there. I think Aidan Keane scores the last one, absolute ripper. And the girls are flying. Look, they'll be in. I'm going to have to crowbar P3 Richmond recovery. The girls will be in about a week's time. So we love having them there. We love seeing them win. And just seeing really where the game's going from a women's football perspective is absolutely fantastic and great ambassadors for the game. I do have a 13-year-old daughter, Naum Sekulovski, who banged in 4 over the weekend.
By the way, who's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Reports of the words getting around.
Words getting around.
Yeah.
It is.
Very
She's
much
doing
so.
the ice bars?
She's doing everything. She's doing absolutely everything. They were there, the Preston crew were there yesterday. So the boys' NPL team, the women's NPL team come. So it's fantastic. It's absolutely awesome.
And Rashid, Melbourne City obviously having 5 different goal scorers across that game, but Holly McNamara, what a player.
Clear at the top now, for the Golden Boot standings after Analyse Rasmussen's gone to Juventus. So congratulations on that. But yeah, Holly McNamara smashing them away.
Yeah,
Top
absolutely.
goals.
She's a gun. Genuinely, I've seen her score a hat-trick. I've seen her score in every way. Melbourne City clear at the top. But that league, as we always speak about, is very, very close, like the men's A-League. So it's going to be interesting to see how that stacks up towards the end of the season, as is the men's right now as well. So looking forward to getting into what will be the end of the season for everyone, because as I said at the start, in the men's, mathematically, everyone can make it. Guys, we've got one of the best segments coming. It's the audience question segment. And as I say every week, Sunday night, you'll see on the A-League's Instagram story, you can ask me and the panel anything you like. And we've got some absolute pearlers today, which a lot of goalkeeper questions coming in of late. They must have anticipated maybe Thomas would be here. But this is from SB Visuals on Instagram. Will a goalkeeper be in contention for the Johnny Warren medal? I'm going to start with you, Rashid.
I don't think so. I think goalkeeping's been pretty shaky. Almost everyone, they've been passing it around each week. They've been passing around the howler each week.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of good keepers, and Patrick Beach and Harrison this season, Devenish-Meares and Lawrence Thomas. They're all great keepers, but I don't think going and saying they're going to be the player of the season is going to hold up.
Well, let's go. Let's flip it then. Who will we start to categorise in this Johnny Warren medal conversation? I'm going to throw a man out there. He's the man up front in Wellington. I think just do what he's doing with Wellington, scoring 7 goals and the way he's scoring it. Ifeanyi Eze. I'm going to throw him in the discussion right now. Anyone else from your guys then?
Look, I'm going to say Mata, purely because every time he touches the ball, victory score, he's part of that goal involvement. And yeah, for me, I think the contrast from last year to this year, not playing into playing, we've seen a clear difference. So I think that helps his cause as well.
Yep. Rashid, you got anyone?
To be honest, I would have said those two, but so I'll go a different one. I think if Newcastle can get up and win the league, Eli Adams could be...
That's a really good shout.
One of the
big
ones.
shout. Yeah, there we go. Well, as you said as well, there could be 3 or 4 in there. They could be stealing votes off each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's probably Newcastle's biggest challenge. They've had so many top performers that they're pinching points off each other.
What a terrible problem to have, hey?
Shocking. Yeah.
Shocking,
Absolutely shocking.
Oh, let's head to Jackson Phillips, who on Facebook said, which current team in the top 6 is under the most pressure to stay in the top 6? So we look at the top 6. I'll tell you now, it's Newcastle in order from 1 to 6. Jets, Auckland, Sydney, Macarthur, Melbourne Victory and Adelaide. So who's under the most risk to slide out of that?
Like I said, I would say Goodwin going down for Adelaide this weekend is a big loss for them. So that's going to be dangerous for them going forward. I think Melbourne Victory, like I said, they're starting to look better, but they've got the pressure of being such a big club and their fan base and the pressure that comes with that. So that might be some pressure, let's say. But yeah, I think Adelaide's probably the one that looks like only could potentially slide out.
Butker, you agree? You got anyone else in that list?
Very, very similar with Rashid. Victory is on that point. I want to echo that big club. So there's obviously an expectation there. The players know that, but hopefully, like you said, Dilla is settled now with that squad. They've got a little bit of consistency, but probably out of them too.
And just to go a bit left field of that question, I think City sitting in 7th have another run of form in them with some of their new signings. It hasn't clicked all season. They're doing well in Asia. But I think the new signs, they've got a run in them left in the A-League. So they're going to be coming for whoever's 5th and 6th, would be my view. Now, Harry WFC, I think that's a Western United or West Ham United fan, on Twitter X says, when are you all coming to play for Murray United in State 7? Butker, would you lace up the boots for Murray United?
Mate, I'll set out back. As long as they're paying for petrol, they give us a good meal. Potentially some kebapi, you know what I mean, some zelka. Maybe a little bit of rakia, a shot just before the game. I'm happy, mate. As long as we can go have a laugh there.
I believe Archie played for Murray United.
He did.
Yeah, if Archie drives us out there, I'll play one game.
Wow. And Rashid is the hardest man to get to play football ever again. So Murray United, maybe take him up on that because I don't know if that's for the camera, but let's see if he actually puts the boots on.
I think the challenge is on.
Yeah.
I think he's just challenged Archie.
6 kilos down, I'm almost at my playing weight.
Yeah. Well, look, all I would say, not to shoot you down, Murray United, but if you're going to make a comeback game, make it closer to home. It's a fair old trek to get out there.
I just want to see if I can convince Archie to drive that.
Oh, no,
he's rolling around in an Audi. I know he's promoting, I don't know how many cars online.
Yeah,
he's doing a few cars.
He's doing a few cars.
Yeah, he's doing a lot.
He must have a massive garage.
Non-exclusive deals.
Yeah. Hopefully we get a golf sponsorship here on the download because that's all he's doing these days as well.
Yeah, he's living the good life.
But gents, great weekend of football. It was a lot of results, a lot of great goals. Any final thoughts of I guess, the games of the weekend? What was the game of the weekend for the both of you?
For me, it was the Newcastle game.
Yeah.
Yeah, just we got to see, again, this young talent on show, week in, week out, 4 in a row. Albeit leaky defence, but entertaining football.
Rashid?
Honestly, I liked I know it was low scoring, but Auckland-Sydney was a great game. And I was on the edge of my seat with my man. I just really wanted him to get that goal, and he didn't get it in the end. Maybe we'll get it next week.
Absolutely. Well, our pleasure as always, gents. Thanks for your participation as always and bringing the laughs. And for everyone at home, we appreciate all your support, your love, all the likes and comments you're giving us. That is all from us this week on the A-League's Download presented by Isuzu Ute. We'll see you next week.